Hilichurls. Everyone knows these guys. They are the staple monster of Genshin Impact, and they can be found everywhere, and I mean everywhere. Since we constantly face these guys, I had a few questions about them. Were they always a part of this world, and if not, where did they come from? After months of playing this game, I finally decided to sit myself down and actually go through the lore and see if we can know where they came from. After going through the lore all the way up till 1.3, I had a terrifying thought in my head, and it wouldn't go away, kind of like a catchy song but in a bad way. Anyways, the thought that came to mind was, what if Hilichurls are actually people? And I don't mean in the sense that they have their own culture and language, that's already been established as a fact. What I mean is that Hilichurls are literal humans. That Hilichurl with a torch running at you could have been little Timmy getting revenge for you killing his pigeons. Setting little Timmy and his pigeons aside, if Hilichurls were once humans, I kind of doubt that they would want to do that. And if that was the case, they were either forced to do it themselves or cursed by someone else. And if they were cursed, then who has the power to do that? This is a world filled with magic and gods. So it's not unreasonable that someone has the power to do that. It's been proven gods have the ability to transform different people. Take the god of salt as an example. After she was betrayed, she self-imploded and turned all the followers of her temple into salt. Zhongli has also done this as the god of geo as well. He turned the stone beast into actual stone after the Archon War ended. There's one more example we've seen, and it's actually a part of the main story. The corruption of Dvalin, or as I'd like to put it, a curse on Dvalin. The curse on Dvalin, as you can see in the story, actually started to transform the dragon in the areas he was afflicted. So this power of corruption does have the ability to transform creatures and still keep them alive, unlike Zhongli and the god of salt. As for why I think that the Hilichurls were similarly affected like Dvalin, take a look at the Forbidden Curse scroll. It even has curse in the name. The patterns bear a very similar color to the power that corrupted Dvalin. I don't know about you, but what comes to mind when I see this is a curse. This isn't concrete evidence though, so let me give you something a little more solid. The origins of the power that corrupted Dvalin. Not much is known about the power that corrupted Dvalin. There are a few clues though that point us in a certain direction though. Dvalin was fighting the evil dragon Durin, and for those who don't know, Durin was a shadow dragon that was corrupted by an alchemist named Gold. So, what are the origins of the alchemist named Gold, and where did he get the power of corruption? Surprisingly, he is actually connected to the main storyline of Teyvat, the continent in which Genshin Impact takes place currently. According to the website, 500 years prior to the current time in Genshin Impact, the collapse of an ancient civilization turned the universe upside down. That civilization, spoiler alert, was most likely the kingdom of Khaenri'ah. Khaenri'ah was an underground realm outside of the view of the gods. They had a focus on a very specific type of alchemy. Its alchemy focused more heavily on the creation of life. This art of creation was known as the art of Chemia. If you didn't know, this is the exact same type of alchemy that Albedo practices. Most likely, we're not going to be able to actually visit Khaenri'ah until we visit all 7 nations of Teyvat, which at the pace Genshin is going at could take years. But what matters most about this kingdom though is the lore behind it. If we go to the book, Breeze Amidst the Forest, we find a certain tale about Khaenri'ah. So begins another tale that occurred in the lost Khaenri'ah kingdom. The Eclipse dynasty had fallen, and disaster spread across the land. The alchemist known as Gold was corrupted by their own greed and ambition, and created an army of shadowy monsters with his uncanny powers. So now we've established a link between Gold creating monsters and the fall of an entire kingdom. So how does this connect with Hilichurls? To do that, we actually have to look at the lore behind the Bloodstained Chivalry set. It describes the story of the Bloodstained Knight. He has his own heart-wrenching story that I feel deserves his own video on, so I won't go into details, but just take a look at the lines that read, "He ventured into the fallen ancient kingdom and died in battle in the monster's lair. At the bottom of the world, he learned the origin of the monsters that destroyed the ancient kingdom. The ancient kingdom was wrongfully cursed, turning its inhabitants into monsters. The code of chivalry tolerates not such injustice. If Abyss be thy name, I pledge to you my loyalty." I don't know about you guys, but reading that gives me shivers. If Abyss be thy name, I pledge to you my loyalty. Shivers every time. For those who are wondering, this is the story of the White Knight who became the Bloodstained Knight. Like I said, he deserves his own video. Let's just focus on the parts that connect the ancient kingdom to Hilichurls. So first up, how do we know that this ancient kingdom is actually Khaenri'ah? Let's compare the two lines here. One is from the actual story about the Bloodstained Chivalry, the other is a line from the story of Khaenri'ah. Both kingdoms are destroyed by monsters, and so far in the story, Khaenri'ah is the only known country destroyed by monsters, so we can safely assume that the Bloodstained Knight and the story about Khaenri'ah are talking about the same event. There's one difference though. In the Bloodstained Knight's story, he found the truth about the event, and it says that the inhabitants turned into monsters. That's quite a difference compared to the story from Breeze Amidst the Forest. I would go with the Bloodstained Knight's lore over the Breeze Amidst the Forest, however, and the reason being that the Bloodstained Knight provides a first-hand experience of these events. He's actually delved into the depths of Khaenri'ah, while the Breeze Amidst the Forest is a second-hand account of these events that scholars wrote, so they wouldn't know the fine details behind the event, especially since most of the people of Khaenri'ah are gone. So to recap our evidence so far, we know that there are powers in Genshin Impact that can turn people into other substances, or even partially change them, like the power that changed Dvalin. We know that there was a kingdom that specialized in the alchemy of creation that eventually fell, with its inhabitants turning into monsters. That kingdom was also linked to the power that changed Durin as well as Dvalin. Now there's one final missing link in our chain. How do we know that the people turned into monsters are Hilichurls? There's one more piece of evidence that I haven't brought up that is the perfect link between the people of Khaenri'ah and Hilichurls. You see, in the book Hilichurl Cultural Customs, there mentions a peculiar tribe that resides in Mondstadt, the Eclipse Tribe. The Eclipse Tribe, of which is the most occult of any in Mondstadt, they concern themselves neither with brains nor brawn, but with occult power. Distinct from the elemental powers worshipped by their peers, the object of their worship is a crude symbol that appears to represent an eclipsed sun. Their shamans are more powerful than those of the other tribes. In the center of their settlement, the other tribe members have built a grand throne for the most formidable shamans who lead them. The key word here is eclipse. There was one other mention of eclipse previously in this video, the Eclipse Dynasty, who, get this, were the ruling dynasty in the nation of Khaenri'ah. So now we know that there was an Eclipse Dynasty that caused its kingdom to fall and its inhabitants to turn into monsters. There is also a Hilichurl tribe that worships the same symbol, the eclipse. So what conclusion can we draw from all this evidence? Hilichurls were once the people of Khaenri'ah, humans. So that means that every time you kill a Hilichurl, you're actually killing someone who was once a citizen of Khaenri'ah. That or one of their descendants. We don't actually know if Hilichurls reproduce on their own or if there's only a limited number of them. Now, as a fair note, this is not definite until miHoYo states this, but from the evidence and lore we do have, this is the theory that is most likely. Now it's time to draw your attention to two questions in this video I purposely didn't answer. Who were the ones who actually cursed the people of Khaenri'ah, and why did they curse them? Well, that's a tale for another time. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.